Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. On today's video, we're going to be talking about painting 3D printed parts, the supplies, and the process to get a quality show finish like you see here on this H10 Optic. Stay tuned. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about how do we take a 3D printed part, something like this, right, where you can see all the print lines and everything. How do we transition that and turn it into something that looks like this, where the body's finished, it's painted, cleared, and you can't even tell that this was something that was 3D printed. So the first step when it comes to doing anything with this material is we need the proper pieces of equipment or tools to go with this. So the number one thing that you're going to need is sandpaper. So we have a couple of, sorry, I went to adjust the camera and turned it off by accident. So as I was talking about, we got the sandpaper here. So we have a 320 block. This is our main tool that we're going to be using throughout a lot of this process. We also have a 1200 really soft block. And then we have a package of brand new sandpaper. So 320 all the way to 800, that's going to be what you need to kind of move this bodywork forward. So that's what we would use to kind of get started here. So we have this roof that I've started to sand a little bit, and you can kind of see how it's knocked the sheen down compared to this piece here, okay? Let's just take a look. You can see a little bit of difference. So let's try and just sand this a little bit so I can show you guys what that looks like. Now, it's pretty straightforward. You want to go multiple directions, right? This early on, it's not that big of a deal. But what you're trying to do is knock that surface down. Paint doesn't like to stick to plastic that is really smooth. So you want to try and knock it down a bit because it's going to make it easier for you in the finishing stage, but it's also going to give the paint something to bite on, right? This rough, non-glossy stuff here. And then to go along with that, a product that's critical with this sort of thing is something called plastic adhesion promoter. So anybody who's done auto body like I have, you'd be familiar with this when it comes to painting bumpers, trim pieces, stuff like that. This is the first step after your rough sand before you start moving on with everything else to get the products to stick. So let's say, we've done our rough sand on this, we've hit it up with adhesion promoter, and we're ready to move on. So what's the next step now? So the next thing that you're going to want to use is you're going to want to use this product called a high build primer or a primer filler. So this is a really nice 1K product by Dominion Sure Seal. Really happy with this stuff. It goes on nicely, dries really nicely, and comes off beautifully. So that's for getting started. So that's going to give you this type of surface here, okay? So this has all been block sanded, meaning I've taken this here, I've wrapped it with sandpaper, I believe 400, and I've worked the primer a few coats to get, come on, focus now, buddy, to get it to this point here. The only spot on here, believe it or not, I've had to use filler is just on this tail section here. There was some print lines, obviously because the material stacks. So there was some visible print lines on the end that needed some filler. So this one, they're ever so slightly there. I'll probably hit that again one more time, just because we're trying to match the quality that I executed on here. So why are we gonna cheap out now? So here's that one, okay. So besides that little blemish, I would consider these ready for paint, ready for finished paint. They've been blocked, primered, sanded probably 3 times. I just got to address that one spot on this one. So let's take a look here at this guy. Focus for me. So this one looks great. This one is ready to go, but I'm not going to spray just one. I'm going to wait till I have the other one finished. So now we have these, let's say, ready for paint, right? we're done sanding, we're done all that stuff. We have our fancy paint we've bought that we spent a lot of money on, right? Automotive cans of paint, automotive quality, something like that. They're like 50, 60 bucks Canadian. So when we're ready, before you put the paint on, the last thing you want to do is you want to wipe them down with professional automotive things. We in the trade use wipe down cloths. They come in what look like giant shop towel boxes or Kleenex boxes, and you pull them out and they're lint-free cloth that you can wipe parts down. Another thing is a product called tack cloth. So this is literally like terry cloth, like similar to what you'd use in the kitchen, like the blue type of cloth, but it doesn't have any lint and it's coated with a little adhesive. So what that does is if you have dust, or I had a hair in one of these panels that I had to correct on the truck here, you use this and you wipe them down and you pick up any dust that's on there, and now they're ready for paint. And you hopefully don't have anything in there at all. So that's basically the getting started part on how to finish out some 3D printed bodies. So we're going to keep moving forward here with the process, and I'll show you guys what it's like. All right, so we're out here outside the garage today, just because it's nice and warm out, so it's perfect to be outside. So this is that panel that has a couple of spots in it. Maybe now that we're out in the sun, you'll be able to see a little better. But you can ever so slightly see some faded print lines. So what we're going to do is, this is ready to use glaze by Bondo here. So we're just going to put out a little bit because we don't need a lot. Just put a little bit on our trowel here. So you can see it separates. So what I do with that globby mess, I take my cut up tools, I cut them down for working on RCs, and I just mix all that back together, because that's hardeners, that's all sorts of stuff that are designed to work together with this product. So you got to work quick, so you don't want to use a lot, because it hardens up very fast. So we're just going to get a little skim coat on here. Let's try and get the rest off of here, and then let's just work that down the piece, kind of like that. And work it down the piece. So you don't want to leave too much on, because the more you leave on, the more you have to sand off, okay? So you just want to leave enough that you're actually filling what you're there to do. Okay, so let's get this to focus. So the plastic started to melt, and then it starts coming off with the spatula. So what I was doing there was just kind of like dabbing it on. So we'll leave that out here to dry. It's pretty windy out, so I'm going to leave a few things out here on the paper just to try and keep all this here. And then we'll check back a little bit to sand that down. Alright, so we got our work pieces here. This has dried nicely. So we're going to take our block. I'm going to try and be nice and flat. I'm going to just sand that down a little bit. So we're not looking to sand it away completely. We're just looking to get a nice flat surface, kind of like that-ish. So I'll take the sandpaper, dress up the edges. Turn this up a little. I seem to be working off camera. Okay, so just make sure these rounded edges feel okay. And then got real windy out here. And then let's set up here so our panel is flat. And then let's block it out. Make sure the paper is tight on here. Okay. So that's pretty rough still. You can see it comes off really fast, so you gotta be extremely careful and don't go too fast. See, I don't want to go so far that I start exposing those print lines again. So just do some very targeted sanding here on just those lows in there. Okay, well, I'm gonna hit it with some guide coat. We'll kind of see what that looks like. We may have to pack up out here. It's looking pretty dark over there. So let's get this wrapped up. Okay, so I also brought out the plastic adhesion promoter, and we can hit up these brand new fenders here, and then we'll hit this other one up with some guide coat. So let's do. So when I said guide coat, I meant primer, filler, but because it's black, it also acts as a really good guide coat. So with this product, you want to put this on fat. So what I mean by that is heavy. You want to be able to sand this material off, so you want something there to be able to work with. So we did this repair here, so let's do that first. And then let's come across the whole panel. Okay, so we'll let that set up. You can see it's going to dry very fast. So while that's doing its thing, these are prepped and ready to go. Some dust. So when it comes to doing our finished top coat, we're going to be doing it in the garage. We won't be doing it out here because there's too many variables. But at this point, when you're still sanding and doing this stuff, outside is okay. So remember, adhesion promoter, first step after getting our rough sand done. So this, you don't need a ton of it. This is just to kind of soften it up, prepare the surface. So I always clear out my cans, and then let's go cross again, and then up here, cross again. So we'll let that set. Doesn't take very long. It says 10 minutes between coats, 30 minutes to top coat. So that's very, very fast drying. And out here it's like 30 degrees, so it's going to be even faster. So once that's done, what I'm going to do is flip them over, and I will tack up the other side with this product, because I'm not going to be finishing the other side, but I like to hit it with a little bit of color, so it's not, the contrast isn't quite so, black and then whatever your finished color is going to be. And then we can see already how much this has changed just in the time we've been out here. So before, this can be deceiving though, right? You may want to start to work this now. but this is where you have to watch the clock. So because this has filler in it, it's going to take time for the VOCs to exit and that product to cure to a point where you can sand it. So what did they say on here? So 5 to 10 minutes flash between coats, can be sanded as little as 15, painted in 30. So yeah, I've been going on about 20-minute dry, and then I've been sanding. So I've been close. Yeah. So we will move on with this stuff in a bit. Okay, so the other side was already dry. So let's just do this up real quick. Ooh, a lot of wind here. There we go. So that's all it's going to take. That's just going to prepare that surface for paint. So stay tuned.